Is this you? You want to go to the gym and you decide you're going to get back in shape. So you're going to start Monday. But after a couple weeks of being consistent, or maybe if you're lucky, maybe a couple months, life gets in the way and you're off track. Or all of a sudden you get busier and you're off track again. Then after a little bit of time, you figured, okay, I need to get myself back into the gym. So all of a sudden you're motivated for another couple weeks or months, but again, you're off track. And all of a sudden it becomes a cycle of being motivated and unmotivated, on track and off track. And maybe it's been a few months, maybe it's been a couple years, and you're still stuck with not making fitness a staple in your lifestyle. So if that's you, I'm going to solve all that for you by helping you with how to get consistent with your workouts. Now, key thing here, if you're going to take one lesson away from this video, it's that consistency comes from accountability, not from motivation. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Michael Avila, and I'm a fitness coach, and I help men lose weight and build sustainable habits, regardless of your schedule, and also doing that without any extreme diets, long workouts, or counting calories. So, if any of that is any interest to you, then make sure to like and subscribe for more. Now, 3 important points I'm going to share with you today. And number 1 is that structure actually leads to better consistency. Now, number 2 is that motivation is simply just a feeling and what you should actually depend on instead. And then number 3 is a full-on structure on how, if I were to do this by myself, how I would kind of structure things so that I can be as consistent as possible with my workouts. So with that, let's jump right into it. And as always, side note, if you do want a full outline of everything that I talk about, let's make the keyword today workouts. So drop down, comment below workouts, and I'll send you a free guide, no strings attached, of everything that I talked about, so you can reference it for later and start applying these things so you can get consistent with your workouts. Let's jump right into it. So number 1, if we actually look at what consistency is, right, it's being able to keep the commitments that you make to yourself on a consistent basis, right? You're continuing to show up regardless of how you feel. And that's why structure is so important, because structure allows you to give that freedom to get the results, to not have to think. And that's really one of the big struggles here is most people, when they have that lack of structure, right, you start thinking about everything else. You start thinking about, okay, how many sets and reps do I have to do? What kind of exercises do I have to do today? What time am I going to go to the gym? And all of that mental energy really leads to a lack of motivation. So you end up being motivated and your mental energy really just tanks. Now, this also becomes even worse, especially at the end of the day, if you want to be able to work out, build those habits, right? Because after work, you're pretty slumped. So key rule of thumb here is you want to make sure that everything is already planned ahead. So whether it's on the weekend or you get some sort of program or you get help from a coach where you don't have to think and all you have to do is take action, because the reality is you're probably a busy individual, you're a busy guy, and you want to be able to make these habits. And really what's going to help give back your time, right, is having that structure. So for example, is you already know what kind of exercises you're doing, the sets and reps, etc. You don't have to think about that. And ahead of time, you already know what time you're working out. And just as a side note, if for most people, that best time to work out is really first thing in the morning. So set that up first. Now, the second one is that motivation is really just a feeling. And take this for example. If you wanted to trust somebody, they would need to build that trust, right, with you initially. And if you wanted to make sure, like, take one of your friends that always flakes on you, right, they become inconsistent. And again, as well, you lose that lack of trust. That's what most people are doing with motivation. So if you want to try to use motivation as um, an initial trigger to be able to get back into the gym, you're always going to fail because it's inconsistent. It's also why you probably lack the skill of discipline when it comes to the gym, because you're always depending on something that is you can't depend on. So really, motivation at the end of the day is a feeling that just comes and goes. It's inconsistent. So you want to depend on something that is foundational, something that's going to be always there. And really, the only thing you can depend on is your decision. Now, there's a big thing between a choice and a decision. A decision cannot be changed, all right? So, if you want to be consistent with the gym, make sure you make that firm, hard decision and build boundaries around it and plan it ahead already so that you show up regardless of how you feel. So here is number three, and that is the consistency setup. So this is everything that you need to know if you want to be consistent in the gym. Now, like I shared earlier, it's really important that you already have these things in place so that you're not taking any mental energy in order to figure that out. Because when you don't have these things in place and you're still trying to make these decisions on the whim, you're only setting yourself up for failure, where you're going to say, oh, I'm too tired, so I'm going to do it another time. Or, oh, I am too busy, so let me just skip it today and I'll make it up. And all of a sudden, a week goes by, 2 weeks, and you're off track again. So what we want to do is, first off, with all your workouts, this is with each workout, you want to have already your exercises, sets, and reps available. And key thing here, I want you to actually start lower than possible, or not lower, but easier. So just start off, not even 3. So just start off 2 times a week, right? Start going to the gym 2 times a week, 30 minutes. You don't need a lot of time in order to get some sort of response. And after a couple of weeks that you've been consistent with that, then go 3. Key thing is what ends up happening, a lot of guys go from 0 to 100 when they talk about getting back in shape, and that again, you're only setting yourself for failure, because how do you know you're able to be consistent with 5 days a week, 4 days a week, even during your busy seasons? See, even if you're a very busy individual or you're going through a chaotic time, you still have the time to work out twice a week for 30 minutes. So again, you want to start back up and build things up brick by brick. All right? So start off twice a week. And then the other thing is, have a set time. Schedule it into your calendar already, or have that non-negotiable, so that when you're setting that up, you're continuing to progress, right? Ideally, again, most of the guys that I work with, they're most successful getting that done first thing in the morning when they wake up, or exactly right after work. Because when you give room for play in between, that's when you can kind of say no or let certain distractions get to you. So that is everything with the consistency setup. Now, to go back again to summarize everything, key thing here is having that accountability. Now, that really comes into the fourth part I could add to this is, if you want to be successful, you need somebody to hold the standard for you, whether it's a friend, whether it's a group, whether it's a coach, all right? I highly go against having your spouse hold you accountable, because we all know how that goes, right? When my wife tries to hold me accountable, there are certain times where I don't feel like it, or both of us are just given to any temptations, whether it's food, nutrition, etc., right? So if you really want to build up that consistency, have some sort of accountability. And just as a rule of thumb, I would say if you've already failed a couple times in the past, go get help from a coach. Go actually have somebody keep you in check so that you're able to get these results, because let's be real, we're human at the end of the day, right? We have our own problems, we have our own faults, we have our own craziness in life, and it's those moments right there when we fall or end up struggling a bit, that's when we need somebody to lift us up. So it's really important that if you are really serious about getting consistent about your workouts, go find accountability. And again, if you messed up 2 times, don't make it third time's a charm, because that's not usually how it works. Get somebody in your corner who's going to help you be successful. So with that, that's everything. If you found it valuable, make sure to like and subscribe. And again, comment below workouts if you want a full outline of everything that I talked about so you can reference it later. With that, be legendary. See you in the next video.